Chapter 5: The Hidden Workshop. 3 days later, Noah came home to find his father sitting at the kitchen table with a business card in his hand. Not on the couch, not half asleep in front of the television. Actually sitting upright at the table where they used to eat dinner together, back when Mum still set 4 places. Noah. Dad looked up. His eyes weren't tired like usual. They were sharp, focused. "We need to talk." Noah's stomach twisted. He set his backpack down slowly, like it might explode if he moved too fast. Dad held up the card. White, fancy, with raised letters. "Guy came by the shop today. Real professional type. Said his company preserves inventions from people who've died. They want anything related to your grandfather's climate work." The room tilted. "They're offering $15,000. Schematics, models, notes, whatever we've got." Dad's voice stayed flat. "Practical. That covers months of rent we're behind on. Gets Mia those glasses the school keeps calling about." Noah's throat went dry. "They said it's about preserving Samuel's contributions, making sure his ideas don't get lost." Dad looked at the card again, rubbing his thumb across the letters. 15,000, Noah. Cash within 48 hours. The question came quiet, almost gentle. "What do you think we should do?" Noah's brain screamed no so loud he almost said it out loud. "I think," he forced the words out carefully, "I think Grandpa didn't want corporations anywhere near his work." Dad exhaled slowly. "Your grandfather's gone, Noah. We're the ones who have to keep going. So we just sell everything he built, everything he warned Mum about." Dad stood up fast, chair scraping across the floor. "Don't bring your mother into this. She disappeared because she asked questions about the Ark." The words ripped out before Noah could stop them. "She was investigating and they what?" Dad's face flushed red. "Noah, listen to yourself. Kidnapped her? Over some climate project?" He shook his head hard, like he was trying to knock the thought loose. "She's gone," he said, quieter now but no less firm. "The police found nothing, no body, no evidence, no answers. Just a woman who vanished, and a family that can't afford to keep chasing explanations that don't exist." "You gave up on her." The words hung in the air like a slap. "I'm trying to keep us alive." Dad slammed his hand on the table, making Noah flinch. "How does your grandfather's legacy pay for Mia's glasses? I can't fix rent with prayers alone, Noah. You're 17 years old, living in fantasy land, while I'm drowning in real problems, and you stand there judging me like..." "I'm not judging." "Yes, you are. Every time you look at me, like I betrayed some sacred mission your grandfather left behind. I'm just trying to survive, Noah. That's all I've got left." A small sound came from the hallway. Mia. She stood frozen in her pajamas, clutching her sketchbook. Her face crumpled like paper. Dad saw her. All the anger collapsed into something worse. Guilt. Raw and terrible on his face. Noah grabbed his jacket. The keys to Grandpa's apartment cut into his palm as he headed for the door. "Noah, wait." He didn't. The flooded streets felt colder than usual. Noah walked fast, hands jammed in his pockets, breath making clouds in the damp air. He shouldn't have said that. About Dad giving up on Mom. But that business card, crisp, white, with its blood money offer burned in his mind. $15,000, 3 months' rent, Mia's glasses. And all it cost was everything Grandpa died protecting. Noah turned the corner where Grandpa had once stopped to show him how a compass always points north, even when the world spins sideways. Truth doesn't move just because we're lost, his grandfather had said. Find your fixed point. Orient yourself to something steady. The transit stop, where Grandpa used to quiz him on designs and then remind him that doing the work right mattered just as much as believing it would help someone, sat empty now, taken over by a makeshift tent city. 2 blocks further, the pawn shop where Grandpa bought Noah his first real tool had iron bars welded across broken windows. Haven Heights rose ahead, 10 stories of old construction, wearing water stains like battle scars. Dark streaks climbed 3 floors high. Graffiti covered the ground floor. Broken windows gaped on the 2nd level, where refugees had moved in after the building emptied. Noah stopped at the entrance. Keys bit into his palm. He could still turn back. Go home. Apologize to Dad and Mia. Forget all of this. Instead, he pushed the door open and took the stairs. By the 5th floor, his legs burned. He crossed the quiet landing and found the door at the end of the hall. The lock clicked, sharp and final, and he pushed the door open before he could change his mind. Dust hung in the afternoon light, coming through bare windows. The living room stretched before him, carpet dented where Grandpa's reading chair used to sit. Walls lighter where picture frames once hung. The air smelled stale and forgotten. Noah stepped inside. The apartment felt like a museum of absence. The kitchen showed signs of Dad's hasty clearing. Down the hall, the bedroom door stood ajar. Noah didn't look inside. He moved toward the study instead. Empty bookshelves lined 3 walls. Dark wood that Grandpa had built himself, sturdy and precise. Noah remembered these shelves packed with engineering texts, old Bibles, journals full of diagrams. All gone now. Dad had sold the valuable books, donated the rest. The room felt hollow, stripped clean. But Mum had searched here. She'd found something Dad missed. Noah pulled out his phone, reading her note again. Your grandfather always said the best hiding places are in plain sight. What holds knowledge can hide it, too. He crossed to the left wall, fingers trailing along the shelves and the wood behind them. Nothing, just dusty paneling and empty space. Then, there. His fingers caught a tiny crack, almost invisible but unmistakable to touch. A hairline seam in the paneling that didn't match the wood grain. Noah pressed gently. Nothing happened. He tried again, pushing at different angles. Click. The panel released, swinging inward on hidden hinges. Noah fumbled for his phone, turning on the flashlight. The beam cut through darkness, revealing what Dad had missed completely. A workshop, secret and preserved. Weathered workbenches stretched along both walls, surfaces covered with half-finished devices. Schematics and diagrams plastered the walls alongside handwritten scripture verses. Psalms about restoration next to technical drawings, Genesis creation passages beside weather models. Tools hung in perfect order, each one labeled in Grandpa's precise handwriting. The space smelled of machine oil and sawdust and something else Noah couldn't name. Something sacred. This was it, the heart of Grandpa's secret work. In the corner sat his desk. The hidden drawer Mom had found stood open and empty. She'd taken the drives. But something else sat on the desktop, something she'd left behind. Grandpa's journal, thick with years of entries. Noah picked up the leather journal with shaking hands. The cover was worn smooth from use. He opened it carefully, pages of technical notes, diagrams, calculations, prayers. The handwriting made his chest hurt. So familiar, it was like Grandpa was right there. He flipped to the final entries. They're still watching, but they haven't found it. Then, addressed directly to Mom. If you're reading this, I've kept it safe as long as I could. The Ark was meant to heal, not control. Don't let them weaponize Covenant. Noah leaned in closer. The last lines were faint, the ink stretched thin, like Grandpa had kept writing even after the pen should have stopped. Noah squinted, tilting the page toward the light. Protect him. The words that followed were harder to make out, the ink nearly gone, the indentations faint, but still there beneath his fingertips. He has my hands and your heart. Noah's throat tightened. That's what the work needs. Noah traced the words with his fingertip. Grandpa's voice reaching across death, speaking directly to him, through time. The work, this mysterious ark, wasn't just about engineering. It was about who Noah was. His grandfather's skill, his mother's heart, both needed. His throat got tight. Mom had found this journal first, read these same words, then disappeared, trying to protect him. Now, Noah understood the choice: healing versus control, restoration versus weaponization. The corporations hunting these secrets didn't want to restore anything. They wanted to own it, control it, use it. Noah photographed every page, hands shaking. He didn't know what to do with this knowledge yet, but doing nothing felt wrong. And doing something meant people he loved would get hurt. Noah sat in Grandpa's workshop chair, the leather worn smooth from decades of use. The journal in his hands explained everything and solved nothing. Back home, Dad clutched that white business card like a life raft. $15,000. Rent paid. Mia's glasses. Survival. And Rachel, brilliant, skeptical Rachel, who'd helped him without asking questions. She was on their radar too now. Anyone Noah touched became a target. This preservation program wasn't an offer. It was a threat wearing a polite smile. They knew about this workshop. Probably. They were squeezing his family financially, watching and waiting for Noah to break or Dad to sell. Every choice hurt someone. Give up the Ark and erase everything Grandpa had worked so hard to protect. Keep fighting and watch his family suffer the consequences of his choice. Would Grandpa have asked this of him if he'd known the cost? Was any legacy worth Mia's tears? Noah carefully placed the journal back where Mum had left it. He had the keys now. He could come back. But standing in this workshop where his grandfather chose principle over safety, Noah understood something. Some things demand protection, no matter what it costs. Following that path meant accepting whatever floods came after. He locked the workshop door behind him and headed home. Time to face what he'd started.